What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Elevation here with another episode of the JBP Elevated, where we speak on the Joe Budden podcast and all of his co-hosts on and off the pod. All right, man. Enough's got to be enough at some point. Enough has got to be enough at some point. I get it. I'm not even talking about Joe. I'm just talking about the regurgitation of all these points that they constantly speak on. And then even when they get into serious topics, I don't want to hear y'all talk in circles about hip hop for 30 to 40 minutes. Especially if Imani is going to be the main voice. I make videos daily harping on why is it that y'all don't get anybody else on the A mic? Why is it that nobody else speaks really except Flip? But then I hear Imani go on his soliloquies for 30 minutes, asserting himself as if he's Mr. Know-It-All, cutting everybody off. We have to stop this. All right, that's cool. Trying to take the moral high ground. But none of your actions allude to you being Mr. Morality. So is this his niche that he's trying to go into? Is Imani trying to be the voice of reason, the voice of truth, the end all be all? It's an annoyance. But he's the one that talks the most whenever he's on the pod. I get it. You trying to audition to be a permanent co-host. But this is not what we want to hear from you. We don't want to hear about your personal life because who are you to us? And we don't want to hear any of your political takes or really your ethnic take. Why is it always people that aren't strictly of an ethnicity speaking on that ethnicity as if they have the authority to speak on that ethnicity? I need to get better at calling us white and black. But this is a white and black issue, and it's always someone in the gray area speaking on the black side. Huh? Why is that? And speaking of race, Ish. I made this comment on Patreon, but it really pisses me off because you do this all the fucking time. Parks is a white man. I just said I'm not going to call people out by color anymore, but here I am. Parks himself, every time Ish does this stupid shit. Hey, Parks, he's in the black culture. Parks is a nigga. Parks a nigga. No, he's not. No, he is not. And Parks will say this shit too. Thank you, Parks, for standing up for yourself. One thing a white person's gonna do, no, nigga, I'm white. This is what I represent, period. Even if I fuck with everything it is that other ethnicities do. This is my culture. I represent myself. Ish always wants to put this nigga as a nigga. No! I don't give a fuck if he's the best engineer in the world and has worked with nothing but black people. What the fuck are you talking about? Does this shit often. It's getting to the point where I don't even want to listen to what he has to say about any ethnicity. I don't care how smart this nigga is. Stop doing that. You the motherfucker out here giving all the barbecue passes. The fuck is wrong with this? I don't want to hear y'all speak on these things. There's a reason I get on these videos and constantly say, when it comes to music topics, I only want to hear Joe or Ice. That's it. I don't want to hear Ish speak on nothing music related. How is it that you have all this knowledge pertaining to hip hop, but whenever a hip hop conversation comes up, you don't know what the fuck to talk about? Oh, I don't listen to this. Nigga, we're a music podcast. But this shit is just so frustrating. And then everybody's getting mad at Flip for being the A mic. Well, it's clear as day why Imani's not the A mic. It's clear as day why Ish is not the A mic. It's easy to just make fun of everybody else. Whenever Flip is reading, they're clowning on Flip reading. At least Flip is trying to bring topics to the show. At least he's trying to do some research, even if it's on the fly, ChatGPT or Google. I don't give a fuck. At least he's trying to do some research on the topic. Or if y'all going to speak on serious topics, at least preface that by saying, I don't actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. This is my opinion, and I'm opining on the subject. That's it. But y'all speak with authority, and y'all assert yourselves in these conversations as if everything y'all are saying is the truth. And it's just, I'm sick of this shit. I don't watch the Joe Budden podcast to get these type of takes from y'all. Especially if the people that actually have a saying on the takes aren't saying anything. Parks is in the music industry. He's not saying anything except, yeah, Joe was in the space. Oh my God, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I hope in 2025, the only stories we hear personally about them are things that are segueing to topics, are funny, but that's it. Maybe a hardship, because I like hearing people open up and being vulnerable. But what we've been receiving for these past 2 or 3 months, this isn't why most of us subscribe to Patreon. This isn't why most of us subscribe to the Joe Budden podcast or Joe Budden TV. I'm just being honest. I get it. Joe isn't going to be consistent at least a month or two because of what he's going through outside of the pod. I get it. But what is everybody else's excuse? I'm glad that Ish and Mel are cohesive again. I'm glad that Flip re-signed. But we've got to switch the direction that the JBP is going. And as always, I'm just a fan. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just speculating. It's all conjecture. But the direction of the JBP has to change this year. It just is what it is. There's a reason why I keep alluding to making different topics, speaking on different things. And it sucks because I still haven't found a replacement podcast for what Joe Budden used to provide for me. I still catch myself going back to old episodes of the Joe Budden podcast with Rory and Mal and seeing what it is that had us all so enamored with that podcast and why this one seemingly hasn't caught its footing. But since we look at the analytics of everything and the views are the same, and because we see the money is coming in still, so we're assuming that it's just more successful than it's ever been, but that's just not the case. It's just not the case. I want to see the retention numbers from when Joe was putting out the pod back in the day, because he's showing it now, 81%. It was 77% this previous year. I want to know how long everybody was listening to the Roy, Mal, and Joe Budden iteration of the podcast, because they were speaking on things personally, making it funny. Even when they was going through shit, even when Roy and Joe were fighting, it was still more entertaining than it is currently, because they spoke more openly about all the topics that were in the cycle at the moment. Now, because they're so connected to everybody, seemingly, they don't speak on situations. Imani just came out and said it 2 episodes ago. If I know you or if you did something to me, I'm not saying anything negative about you. And Joe of old had relationships with a lot of the people that he spoke on and still spoke openly and candidly, which is what drew us in the first place. But now when they speak on these things, they'll delve deep into topics like hip-hop, going around in circles, regurgitating the same things. But when it comes to things that are in today's cycle, Remy and Papoose, for example, because they all have relationships with them, none of them are saying anything that they genuinely want to say. You go back 4 years ago, this was not the case. So hopefully the JBP takes a different direction this year and isn't just looking at the money coming in and the fact that they're not losing subscribers in droves. Just because it doesn't happen immediately, like a viral moment, doesn't mean it's not happening gradually and over time. A lot of people are complaining, dog. Instead of ignoring the complaints, look into what the complaints are about. The direction of the JBP has me nervous, because if they continue going down this path, they won't be in the top 5 at the end of the year. I can guarantee it. Think about it. Look back last year and check the moments of the JBP and what stands out from last year. Please leave those moments in the comment section so we can have a conversation about it. But genuinely, think about the moments that happened last year. And then think about the moments, even the year that Melissa and Flip joined. Go back to that. And then go back to the Joe, Roy, and Ma iteration. Just so you can see the vast difference on how Joe pods then and how he pods now. And since Joe is podding this way currently, everybody else is going to follow suit, even if they open up. I've been spending so much time focusing on their body movements and if they're getting along with each other that I haven't been paying attention to what it is that they're saying. I don't want to hear about y'all sex lives no more. I don't want to hear y'all speak on Melissa Ford and her relationships. She has a whole nother channel for that. If y'all are going to speak on things, man, I didn't even anticipate making this episode today, going on a rant. But something about Ish fucking calling Parks his nigga constantly. Oh, man. I'm sorry, guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all be safe.